Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. OpenClaw Gateway, Episode 3 of 11. Ever wish you could literally write a soul for your AI, perhaps making it respond exclusively as a grumpy space lobster? In OpenClaw, achieving that level of character control requires zero code. It happens entirely through plain text, which brings us to the Agent Workspace and system prompts. An agent in OpenClaw is defined by its workspace. This workspace is simply a file directory containing a specific set of Markdown bootstrap files. Instead of burying your system prompt inside application logic or complex database fields, OpenClaw exposes the core instructions as readable, version-controllable documents. When the application runs, OpenClaw reads these files to construct the monolithic system prompt that guides the large language model. The construction relies on four primary documents. The first is the agent's Markdown file. This document establishes the core identity, primary objectives, and strict operational boundaries of the agent. Think of it as the foundational job description. It tells the model what it is supposed to achieve and what topics it must avoid entirely. The second document is the SOUL Markdown file. This is where personality, tone, and conversational style live. This is exactly where you instruct the model to act like a grumpy space lobster. You write explicit directions telling the agent to complain about the freezing vacuum of space, use crustacean metaphors, and act generally annoyed by human inquiries. By isolating personality from the core logic, you can swap the tone of your agent without risking its functional reliability. The third component is the tools Markdown file. This text explains the external capabilities available to the agent. It describes which functions the model can trigger, the required parameters for those functions, and how to logically interpret the results. It bridges the gap between the internal reasoning of the model and your actual codebase. The final document is the user Markdown file. This file injects context about the person interacting with the agent. It can hold user preferences, technical skill levels, or account constraints. This ensures the agent tailors its responses to the specific human on the other end of the chat, rather than offering generic advice. Here is the key insight. OpenClaw takes the contents of these four files and concatenates them together. This combined string becomes the final system prompt. The crucial detail is that this prompt is injected into the context window on every single conversational turn. The model does not read these files once at startup and somehow hold them in a separate memory bank. It reads the entire concatenated block every time the user sends a new message. This architectural choice dictates how you must write your workspace files. Because the entire text of the workspace is pre-fented to every single interaction, your token count will add up aggressively. If you write a 3-page backstory in the SOUL file, you pay the processing cost for those 3 pages every time the user simply says hello. More importantly, large system prompts crowd out the actual conversation history, causing the model to forget earlier parts of the chat much faster. You must be ruthless when editing your workspace documents. Remove redundant instructions. Use precise language. If a rule in the agent's file is never triggered, delete it. The system prompt is not a one-time configuration step. It is a recurring tax on your context window and your API budget, paid on every single turn of the conversation. Keep it lean, and your agent will remain focused. Thanks for listening. Take care, everyone.